The wind carried the smell of ash and blood. Trees that once stood proud were now broken like matchsticks. Craters smoked along the battlefield as if the earth itself had been punished. In the center of that destruction stood one man, tall and silent, his armor cracked but still glowing faintly with blue energy. His breathing was calm, almost too calm. Around him, 10 bodies lay in twisted positions, their alien weapons scattered in the dirt. His name was Cade. He was human, and he wasn't supposed to survive. Earlier that morning, the 10 elite warriors of the Zarn Empire had arrived on the forest moon of Varex. They were not just soldiers. Each one was a legend, trained in different forms of death. Some could bend shadows to slice through armor. Others could control gravity to crush bones without touching a single stone. They had hunted across stars, never losing a fight. Their mission was simple: kill the human. Cade was the only human ever to enter the Varexian zone. He was not part of any military, not registered with any faction. He came alone. No one knew why. The moment he crossed into Zarn territory, they called it an act of war. The Zarn warlord laughed when he saw the human approach the border. "He walks like prey," he said, not knowing he was watching the last man they should have threatened. 10 warriors were dispatched. 10 never came back. Cade remembered the warnings. Locals had whispered stories of the Zarn and their sacred 10. No one had ever seen all 10 move at once. No one lived long enough. But he had not come to fight them. He had come looking for someone. It started with a scream. On the first night, a cry echoed from the deep woods. A girl's voice, sharp and full of fear. He ran without thinking. What he found was something out of a nightmare. A young alien woman, with orange fur, fox-like ears, and glowing eyes chained to a tree, blood on her lips. 3 Zarn warriors surrounded her. They laughed as one of them lifted a blade. Cade didn't speak. He simply moved. By the time they turned, the first one's chest was already crushed. The second flew back as Cade's boot shattered his mask. The third pulled out a glowing spear but didn't get the chance to throw it. The girl stared at him, breathless, unsure if she was saved or if a new danger had come. Her chains cracked open with a single pull from Cade, and she collapsed in. "His arms," she whispered. "You're not Zarn. Why are you here?" He said nothing, just looked up as more shadows gathered in the trees. The rest of the 10 were coming. That night turned into a storm. Lightning raged in the skies. Thunder matched every strike of blade and bone. Cade fought like something ancient, something wild. He didn't just survive, he dominated. The warriors, who had never known fear, began to hesitate. That hesitation cost them everything. When the last one fell, gasping for breath, the girl stepped from behind a broken pillar. Her hands shook as she looked at the bodies around him. None of them moved. Only Cade remained standing, bleeding but upright, his eyes fixed on her as if waiting for something. She asked again, "Why did you save me?" Cade finally answered, "Because you're the reason I came." And then, in the distance, another voice screamed. But this one wasn't calling for help. It was calling for war. Smoke still rose from the battlefield as Cade knelt beside the wounded alien girl. Her fur was matted with blood, her breathing sharp and uneven. He tore a strip from his own cloak and gently wrapped her arm. She flinched, but didn't pull away. "You shouldn't have come here," she whispered. "You were calling for help," Cade said. "No," she said, eyes wide. "I wasn't calling for anyone, I was warning them. I didn't think anyone would come." Cade stared at her. "Who are you?" Her name was Lyra. She was not just another victim. She was once a warrior of the forest clans, born with the gift of voice song, a rare power to channel energy through sound. But the Zarn had captured her, silenced her with bindings and beatings, and used her as bait. She was supposed to draw in rebels, not a human, never a human. But now the plan had failed, and 10 of their finest were dead. Far above the treetops, a Zarn scout drone blinked red. It had witnessed the entire fight. It zipped back to the capital to deliver the footage. The High Warlord of the Zarn Empire would see the broken bodies of his chosen warriors, and he would know the face of the one who stood above them. Meanwhile, Cade carried Lyra across the ruined field. She was light but trembling. His armor hissed with each step, the systems damaged, the power core flickering. He knew more would come. That wasn't the end. That was only the first wave. They reached a hidden cave behind a waterfall where Lyra had once trained as a child. The place was sacred to her people, and unknown to most outsiders. She hadn't returned there in years, but she still remembered the path. She whispered a melody to unlock the stone gate, and the entrance groaned open. Inside, the air was cool and the walls glowed with ancient crystals. Lyra sat on a stone bench, breathing slower now, her strength returning. She looked at Cade with new eyes. "You're not just a fighter," she said. "You knew their techniques. You moved like one of them." Cade didn't answer. Instead, he took off his gauntlet and revealed a strange mark on his hand, a symbol that shimmered faintly, almost alive. Lyra's eyes widened. "That's not human." "It was given to me by someone who died protecting your kind," he said. "She asked me to find her people. I didn't expect this." Lyra grew quiet. She looked at the mark again, then at him. "Then you're the one from the story," she said. "What story?" "The one told by our elders, of a human who would come when the Zarn grew too proud, the one who walks alone but leaves none behind." Cade frowned. "I don't believe in stories." "But they believe in you now," she said, "and they're coming." As if her words were a signal, a rumble shook the cave. Dust fell from the ceiling. Outside, the sound of ships echoed through the valley. Dropships, multiple, not 10 this time hundreds. Cade stood slowly and looked at the entrance. Lyra touched his arm. "You can't fight all of them." "I won't have to," he said. "Not if we move fast." "Where?" "To where your people are hiding. They won't trust you. They don't have to. They just have to survive." He reached out and helped her up. Her hand fit awkwardly into his, claws and all. She didn't pull away. As they disappeared into the shadows of the cave, a voice rang through the forest from the dropships above. "Human, come out. We will give you a warrior's death." Cade didn't stop walking. Cade and Lyra moved fast through the underground path, lit by glowing veins of crystal in the stone. The cave twisted deep into the mountains, each step echoing like a warning. Outside, the thunder of dropships landing shook the ground above them. "The Zarn were here in full force now. They'll search this whole valley," Lyra said quietly. "They will find us soon." "Not if we find your people first," Cade replied. He didn't know exactly where they were going, but Lyra remembered. A passage that would lead to the old sanctuary, a hidden city in the cliffs. It was said to be lost, but Cade trusted her instinct. And more than that, he trusted his gut. Something was pulling him forward, as if he wasn't just saving someone, but walking into something much bigger. As they climbed through the narrow crack in the rocks, Lyra stumbled. Cade caught her. She looked up at him, her eyes glowing softly in the crystal light. "You shouldn't care about us," she said. "We are not your kind. We have nothing to give." "I didn't come for reward," he answered. "I came because someone has to stand when no one else will." For a moment she stared at him in silence. Then she gave a small nod and kept walking. Hours passed. The sound of Zarn patrols echoed through the tunnels, now closer each time. Cade was almost out of energy. His armor was running on emergency, reserve. He needed time to rest, but time was exactly what they didn't have. Suddenly they reached a large chamber. The walls were carved with symbols, ancient and glowing faintly in golden light. Lyra stepped forward, her voice trembling. "This is it," she whispered. "This is the gate." She placed her hand on a stone tablet. The air shifted. A beam of light scanned her, then a deep grinding noise echoed as a door opened slowly in the stone wall. Behind it, dozens of glowing eyes appeared. Alien faces emerged, Fox-like, tall, some scarred, some young, all holding weapons. They aimed. Them at Cade. Lyra raised her hand. "He's not the enemy," she said. "He saved me." The warriors hesitated. Then one stepped forward, older, with long white fur and sharp silver eyes. "No human has ever entered here," he said. "We thought your kind only brought war." "I'm not here for war," Cade said. "But they brought it to me anyway." Old warrior studied him, then turned to Lyra. "What happened to the 10? "They're gone," she said. He faced them alone. The room fell silent. The warriors lowered their weapons, slowly. The elder nodded once, then stepped aside. "You may rest here, but not long. The enemy is coming." Cade and Lyra entered the sanctuary. Inside, it was a vast hidden city, carved into the mountain walls, glowing with life and energy. Families huddled together. Younglings hid behind pillars. Everyone looked tired, scared, but still alive. Cade sat near a fire as Lyra helped the wounded. The people were quiet, watching him. They didn't speak to him, but they didn't look away either. Later, the elder returned and sat beside him. "There's something you should know," the old warrior said. "You weren't the first human here." Cade looked up, confused. "Years ago, a woman came. She bore the same mark you carry. She said her child would finish what she started." Cade's breath caught. "That was my mother," he whispered. The old warrior nodded. "Then you are the one." Before Cade could speak again, a horn blew, in the distance. The sky outside turned red with fire. The Zarn had found them. The sound of the warning horn echoed through the stone halls like thunder. Lights inside the sanctuary flickered as frightened families rushed to take shelter. Warriors grabbed their weapons and rushed to the outer gates. The red glow in the sky grew brighter with each passing second. Cade stood and tightened the straps on his damaged armor. His body ached, but his mind was sharp. He had seen war before. But this was different. This was a full invasion. Lyra met him at the inner wall, her hands gripping a bow made of carved crystal. Her face was calm, but her tail twitched nervously. Behind her, "They've sent an army this time," she said. Cade nodded. "They want to make an example of me. Then they've made a mistake." The elder stepped forward, flanked by 4 of his most skilled warriors. He held a staff carved, with old runes, its tip glowing softly. "We have numbers, but not strength," the elder said. "You are the only one who can turn the tide." "I can't protect the whole city alone," Cade said. "You won't be alone," Lyra said. "We'll fight with you." Cade looked at her, then at the warriors gathering behind the elder. They were tired, wounded, but willing. He turned to the elder. "Where will they strike first?" "There's only one entrance wide enough for an army," the elder replied. "The east wall." Cade nodded. "Then we'll meet them there." The next hour moved like a dream. Everyone prepared, setting traps, sharpening blades, chanting ancient songs of courage. The wounded were hidden deep in the cave tunnels. Children were given small glowing stones to keep them calm. Lyra stood beside Cade on the high wall, her hair blowing in the hot wind. She looked at him as if seeing him for the first time. "Were you trained for this?" she asked. "No," he said. "But life trained me anyway." The ground trembled. A massive Zarn crawler tank rolled into view, its body covered in black steel and glowing red symbols. Behind it came a wave of Zarn soldiers, hundreds of them, armored and armed with weapons that shimmered with energy. Cade climbed to the edge of the wall and raised a small device from his belt. It clicked once. Then from behind the trees came an explosion. The lead crawler flipped into the air and smashed into the second one, sending flames into the sky. The enemy paused for a moment. Just one moment. But that was enough. Cade jumped from the wall and landed hard on the battlefield. The ground cracked under his boots. He charged forward before the dust had cleared. His fists were fast and brutal. His blade hummed with blue energy. He didn't stop moving. Every hit broke shields, every step left a crater. Lyra and the warriors fired from above. Arrows of light rained down. Alien weapons roared back. but many missed their mark in the confusion. The battle was chaos. Smoke and screams filled the air. Cade took hits, but he kept going. One Zarn soldier tried to flank him. Cade turned and drove a broken blade through his chest. Another fired from behind, but Lyra's arrow struck first. Blood soaked the soil. Fires lit the sky. Then everything stopped. From the back of the enemy line, a tall figure stepped forward. She was dressed in black armor trimmed with gold. Her eyes were silver and cold. Lyra's voice trembled. "That's Commander Vela." Cade's jaw tightened. He knew the name. Vela was the one who had killed his mother. She raised her hand. The Zarn soldiers parted, creating a path between her and Cade. Finally, she spoke. "You survived the 10. Now face me." Cade stepped forward, silent. The final battle was about to begin. Commander Vela walked slowly through the battlefield, her boots silent on the ash-covered ground. Her soldiers stood still, watching. The flames from the broken crawler cast dancing shadows across her armor. Her gaze was fixed on the human. Cade stood still, gripping his broken blade. His armor was cracked and smoking. Blood ran down his arm. But his eyes were steady. Lyra watched from the wall, holding her breath. The others around her grew silent. Even the injured warriors turned to look. This wasn't just another fight. This was something deeper, something personal. Vela stopped 10 paces away. "You look like her," she said. Cade didn't answer. "She begged for your life before I ended hers." Still he said nothing. Vela tilted her head. "So you carry her mark. That's why you fight like her." "She didn't die begging," Cade finally said. "She died fighting, like I will. But I won't fall today." Vela drew her weapon, AR, long energy spear that pulsed with dark red light. Her hands moved with precision. She wasn't just a warrior. She was a killer trained over decades. "I'll give you one chance to kneel," she said. Cade took a step forward. "No," he said. "You'll kneel first." In a flash, they charged. Sparks flew as Cade blocked the spear with his blade. The force sent him sliding back, but he didn't fall. He moved fast, ducking under the next strike and slamming his fist into Vela's chest. Her armor cracked. She staggered, then spun and slashed. The spear cut into his shoulder. He didn't cry out. Lyra gasped as blood poured down his side. Still, Cade pressed forward. Vela was faster, stronger, and had years of experience. But Cade fought differently. He didn't follow patterns. He moved, like someone who had nothing to lose. Their weapons clashed again and again, the sound louder than the thunder above. Dust and fire swirled around them as they circled each other. Each strike was deadly. Each dodge was close. Then Cade saw an opening. She raised her spear for a killing blow. Cade stepped in close, inside her reach, and drove his broken blade deep, into the side of her armor. Vela screamed and slammed her knee into his ribs. He fell back, coughing blood. They both stood, breathing hard. "You shouldn't be alive," she hissed. "You made a mistake," he said. "You tried to kill a ghost." Vela rushed him again. He caught the shaft of her spear and twisted, forcing her to the ground. They rolled in the dirt, blades flashing, fists flying. Then it happened. Cade grabbed her arm and pressed his mother's symbol against her skin. It burned like fire. Vela shrieked as the mark glowed, and her armor began to break apart. She dropped her spear, falling to her knees. "What is this?" she screamed. "It's her final gift," Cade said. The energy from the mark spread through Vela's body. Her eyes rolled back. She collapsed, twitching, then went still. The battlefield fell silent. The Zarn soldiers stared, confused and afraid. Their strongest commander had fallen. Not by numbers, not by machines, by one man. Cade stood over her, barely on his feet. "Leave now," he said to the soldiers, "or stay and join her." For a moment, no one moved. Then the first soldier dropped. His weapon, another followed, then the rest. Within minutes, the entire Zarn force retreated. Lyra rushed down the hill and caught Cade as he stumbled. "You did it," she whispered. He looked at her, barely awake. "No," he said. "We're just getting started." Because, deep in the sky, new ships were approaching. Not Zarn, but something worse. The sky above the battlefield turned dark. Thick clouds gathered, but this was not a storm of nature. These clouds moved with purpose. From the shadows, new ships appeared, sleek, black, and silent. They hovered above the trees, engines humming low and deadly. Cade leaned against Lyra, barely able to stand. His body was torn, armor shattered, but his eyes didn't leave the sky. Lyra looked up with fear. Those aren't Zarn ships. I know, Cade said. She helped him to the wall where the warriors of the sanctuary stood watching in silence. The elder approached with slow steps, his face pale. We thought the Zarn were the greatest danger, he said. But we were wrong. Cade nodded. They sent the heralds. The crowd stirred. The word was old, barely spoken anymore. Heralds were not conquerors. They were cleaners, sent when even war wasn't enough. They erased entire histories. They made sure no stories were left behind. Lyra tightened her grip on her bow. Why would they come here? They're after the mark, Cade answered, and they'll kill anyone near it. From the lead ship, a figure descended, tall, thin, and wrapped in silver armor that shimmered with light. Its face was covered by a mask, no mouth, no eyes, just smooth metal. It hovered a few feet above the ground, then spoke with a voice that echoed across the valley. The human carries forbidden knowledge. Surrender him and we will spare the rest. The elder turned to Cade. Is this true? Are they after you? Yes, Cade said, but not just me. They fear what I carry. The mark holds a memory they want erased. Lyra stepped forward and faced the floating herald. He saved our people. He bled for us. If you want him, you'll have to face all of us. The herald tilted its head, unmoved. So be it, it said. The ships opened. Hundreds of machines spilled out. Not soldiers, but drones shaped like beasts. Long legs, glowing red cores, slicing claws. They landed on the ground in perfect rows, then rushed forward. Cade stepped in front of the warriors, breathing hard. He looked to the elder. I need time. 10 minutes. What for? The elder asked. To unlock what's inside the mark. Lyra's eyes widened. You don't know what it will do. I don't, Cade said. But I know it's the only chance we have. The elder nodded and turned to his warriors. Hold the line. As the battle began again, Cade fell to one knee. He pulled off his chest plate and placed his hand on the glowing symbol. He closed his eyes. The light grew brighter. The pain rushed through his body like fire. His veins burned. His mind shook. But he didn't let go. Inside his mind, he saw memories not his own. Cities burning, stars collapsing. A woman, his mother, standing tall before the heralds. She had faced them once. And she had placed something inside the mark. Not a weapon. A message, a code. Cade gasped as the energy burst out from the mark, covering his skin in lines of glowing blue. His eyes flashed white. On the battlefield, the herald paused. Its head turned, sensing the change. Lyra looked back. Her breath caught. Cade, she whispered. He stood slowly, taller, stronger. The mark now pulsed with energy that made the ground. The drone slowed, confused. Cade looked at the herald. You wanted the mark, he said. Now face what it holds. He raised his hand and the sky cracked with light. The sky split with a burst of white light as energy surged from Cade's body. The lines across his skin glowed brighter than the sun, casting shadows across the battlefield. Every drone froze in place, their red lights flickering. Even the herald paused, its mask tilting slightly in confusion. Lyra stood behind Cade, shielding her eyes. What is this? She whispered. Cade took a slow breath. His voice was deeper now, as if it echoed from somewhere far beyond. She left me a key, he said, and I just turned the lock. He stepped forward. The ground under his boots cracked. With every step, Energy pulsed out from him, disrupting the machines. Some drones collapsed before he even reached them. Others sparked and shut down. The herald raised one long arm and unleashed a beam of blinding silver light. It struck Cade full in the chest, but he didn't fall. The light bent around him and vanished into his armor, absorbed like smoke into a storm. "You don't understand what you carry," the herald said. "I understand enough," Cade replied. With a shout, he slammed his hand into the earth. A shockwave erupted across the battlefield. Drones flew through the air like toys. The herald staggered back, its flight flickering. The warriors of the sanctuary cheered, rallying behind the explosion. Lyra ran to his side, her bow ready. "You're burning yourself," she said. "This power, it's killing you." "I don't care," Cade said, "as long as it ends them." The herald rose again, damaged but still standing. It pointed to the sky, and the remaining ships began to descend. New machines were coming. Larger, heavier, stronger. "They're not stopping," Lyra said. "I need to go higher," Cade said. "I can't hold back this energy much longer." He turned to the elder. "There's a peak above the sanctuary. Take everyone underground. If I lose control, it won't be safe here." The elder didn't argue. He gave the order. As families rushed into the caves, Cade and Lyra climbed the narrow trail to the top of the mountain. The path was steep, filled with broken stone and swirling winds. The light from Cade's body lit the way. When they reached the top, the view was endless. The valley stretched below, filled with enemy machines. The sky above was thick with ships. Cade stood at the edge of the cliff, breathing heavy. "This is where it ends," he said. Lyra stood beside him, her face pale. "You don't have to do this alone." "Yes, I do," he said softly. She touched his hand. "Then at least let me stay." He gave her a tired smile. "You're stubborn." "You're human," she replied. "That's worse." They both laughed, even as the sky cracked again with thunder. The herald appeared before them, floating. Higher now, its armor shining like a blade. "You are only one," it said. "I'm enough," Cade replied. He raised both arms, and the energy surged higher. His body shook, light bursting from his chest and eyes. Symbols formed in the sky, ancient runes from a forgotten time. The wind roared around him, the ground trembled. Lyra stepped back as the light grew too strong to face. Even the ships above began to back away. The herald rushed forward. Cade raised his hand. The mountain exploded in white light. Light consumed everything. For a moment there was no sound, no movement, only brightness. Then, slowly, the mountain calmed. The winds faded, the energy in the air thinned like mist after a storm. The earth stopped shaking, smoke curled from the rocks. Cracks split the cliff face where Cade had stood. Lyra coughed and crawled toward the edge. Her body was bruised, her legs weak, but her eyes searched desperately. "Cade," she whispered. There was no sign of him, only scorched stone and ashes swirling in the wind. But then she saw it, something glowing faintly in the dust. A hand. She ran forward. Cade was lying on his back, his armor shattered, body burned, but breathing. Barely. She fell to her knees beside him. "You're alive," she said, tears building. He opened one eye. "Told you. I'm stubborn." She laughed through her tears, holding his hand. Far below, the valley had changed. The herald was gone. The enemy ships were drifting, powerless, their engines dead. The remaining drones stood frozen, no longer, guided by commands. The sky was quiet. The sanctuary warriors emerged from the caves. They looked around in silence, not understanding what had happened. Then they saw the ships falling, the machines collapsing. And they knew Cade had won. The elder approached slowly, eyes wide. "He burned the sky," someone whispered. "No," the elder said. "He cleansed it." Later, Cade was carried back to the sanctuary. The people lined the path, watching with awe. Some bowed. Some placed glowing petals at his feet. Even the youngest touched his arm in silence. He wasn't just a human now. He was legend. Days passed. Cade healed slowly. The power inside him was gone now, used, spent. But the mark remained, burned into his chest like a sun, a symbol of sacrifice. A reminder of what he carried. Lyra stayed by his side. She cleaned his wounds, told him stories, made him laugh again. But when the night came, they both stared at the stars in silence. "What happens now?" she asked. "I don't know," he said. "But I think I've finally finished her mission." "She'd be proud of you." She always was. The Zarn Empire fell silent after that. No more dropships, no more heralds. The galaxy began to whisper a new name, a human who fought 10 warriors and lived, who stood against machines and won, who carried a legacy in his blood and gave it to others, not for power, but for peace. Cade didn't return to Earth. He stayed with Lyra and her people, helping them rebuild. He planted trees where battles had burned the ground. He trained young warriors not to fight but to protect. One day a child with glowing eyes asked him, "Is it true? You fought the Herald of the End?" Cade smiled. "I didn't fight him, Theo." Child blinked. "You didn't?" "No," Cade said. "I reminded him what a human really is." The child grinned. "Will you teach me?" Cade looked to the sky where stars now shined peacefully and nodded. "Yeah," he said. "Let's start with how to stand when everyone else runs." And so the legend lived on, not just in stories, but in every quiet act of courage that followed, in every village that rose again, in every hand that helped another. Because Cade had proven something the galaxy had forgotten, that one human could still change everything and walk away.